Italian Football Podcast.
Next question comes from Jonas. He's a Roma fan, and he says, De Rossi is understandably so finding it difficult to settle in on a lineup and a starting 11. Given the players at the coach's disposal, how would you line up Mark Violet's favourite team? And I've just seen the news of De Rossi being sacked. Effing loser club. Thank God I'm having my kids follow Real Madrid too, so they don't grow up being as bitter as me. Anyway, who would you like to see Roma bring in for the bench now? Well, it's going to be Ivan Juric, isn't it?
Yeah. As we're recording this, it's unanimously reported by everyone in Italy, including Di Marzio, Schiera, all the Sport Italia, I think, as well. They're all saying that it's going to be Juric. A deal has been done until the end of the current season, 24-25. So it's there may be an option, I believe, depending on how he does, to extend that. So let's break this down. Let's talk about De Rossi being sacked first, then we'll move on to Juric. Now, as it is, not too much has come out officially or with any real insight on why De Rossi has been sacked. Now, I think there's more to it than just simply they've had a bad start to the season. That doesn't make much sense because it's only 4 games and it comes after a game in which they actually played well. They dominated Genoa. Like, they had about an XG of about 2.7 in the game against Genoa. And they deserved to win this game by at least a couple of goals. They completely dominated the first half. Second half, Genoa got a little bit better and they obviously scored 96th minute. But Roma played well in this game. So you don't sack De Rossi on results after 4 games and after, two good performances, because they played well against Juve as well without creating that much. But they deservedly got a draw against Juventus. They looked really well set up. So De Rossi has shown his tactical qualities, I think, in these last 2 games. So I don't believe it's on results. I think it will come out in the next days why he's been sacked. I have a feeling, this is just my personal hunch, I have a feeling De Rossi's not happy with the transfer market. That's what I think. I know they spent a lot of money, but as I said, I was quite critical of their mercato in the sense that they went out and they bought a bunch of players, spent a lot of money, but a lot of these players suitable to one system, other players suitable to another system. Some of these players not quite fitting in with players that are currently at the club. For example, you have Dovbyk, who needs to play in a system with crosses. Then you start the season with playing in a 4-3-2-1 because De Rossi's trying to fit in both Dybala and Sule, who for me clearly can't play together really. And then do you know what I mean? So then you have Dybala. Well, how do you play wingers when you got Dybala? I know they tried to sell him. Maybe De Rossi was unhappy that they didn't manage to sell him. Maybe De Rossi wanted to sell. I don't think it's been well thought through, the mercato, in terms of creating a proper team with a clear system and a clear style of play. My feeling is De Rossi's unhappy with that. Maybe there's been some kind of argument or fight about it, especially in light of this bad start to the season. Maybe they had a meeting and they discussed, what's going on. We haven't won yet. And De Rossi maybe starts saying, well, I'm not happy with the market. It's very difficult for me to get these players into a working system. Dybala can't play with City, blah, blah, blah. That's just my hunch. I might be wrong, but I reckon that might be part of it. And maybe Roma turn back to him and they think, well, hang on a minute. We've just spent over 100 million and you're telling us you're not happy with... Do you know what I mean? So, and they're not having that. I don't know. That's just my hunch, because it doesn't seem like a planned decision when they've just given him a new contract. Like, they just extended his... How long ago did they extend his contract?
No, it was in June.
Yeah.
It was in June.
So this isn't a planned thing. And he had a really great end to the season after coming. He had a great second half of the season. Look at it statistically. Look at the number of points they've got. And they nearly got to the final again with Leverkusen. They were seconds away from forcing extra time in that tie. So, I think that minutes. I think there's more to it, and it will come out exactly what went wrong. What do you think?
I think it's exactly that. I don't think it's a technical decision like that. I think the Friedkins don't like having their authority questioned. There's been reports of arguing as well. There was reports about a bust-up between Cristante and De Rossi. There's been reports of dressing room conflicts. I think that they don't. I think it's something more like that, because nobody expected it, and also Angelo Mangiante from Sky, who would know, given how much he covers Roma, says that De Rossi was just turned up to training today, and then he was summoned, and that's kind of what went down. One interesting fact about Juric, he watched the following games, which Patrick Kendrick tweeted out: Como Bologna, Milan Venezia, Atalanta Fiorentina, and Parma Udinese this last weekend. He was spotted at all of those games. Now, a simple look at Roma's next couple of games in the Serie A are Udinese, Venezia, Monza, Inter, Fiorentina. So there's a couple of teams there. So this was definitely planned this is something that's been going on for a while. They just haven't leaked it to anyone.
I did notice him being at so many different stadiums, and I did think, this is strange. Is this just him just trying to grow as a coach, taking in games, trying to learn, or is this just him keeping himself in the limelight because he wants a new job? Or is this, like you said, is he already contact started and he's preparing for the job maybe and the next opponents? Now you say that, possibly, yeah. Obviously, the fact that we're here now, just a few hours recording this, a few hours after his sacking, and it's already been confirmed that Juric is gonna take over, then that suggests that this is something that obviously you don't just do a contract just overnight. It takes a bit of time, doesn't it? So I think
It's interesting. And then what I think of Juric, 3-4-2-1, tighten them up defensively, high press, what happens to Dybala? Lots of questions. But I do think that Ivan Juric deserves this chance, given what he's done. This is the right step upwards. I've mentioned Lazio in the past. I think Roma Lazio is exactly the level he should, the next natural step in his career. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do, because his Torino created chances. It's just they couldn't seem to score. But he's never worked with players of this high quality either at Roma. So I actually think he'll do well. I think this is a good appointment. Personally, I would have preferred to see Sarri, but it seems they want to play with a back three. I think that's what they've decided. So it's an interesting one. It absolutely is an interesting one.
Yeah, it is an interesting one. I mean, I think that the goal scoring thing is obviously the big weakness of Juric. I mean, throughout his career at Torino, before at Verona, his goal scoring numbers are terrible. I'm just looking at the XG as well. It's not good at Torino either. So I mean, it's that he needs to. They need to be much better in attack now that he's at a big club. But one thing he does have, he has actually been good at developing players, which is weird for a team that usually, if a team doesn't score many goals, usually you don't develop. It's kind of weird but he has developed quite a lot of talented players, especially defenders, hasn't he, in recent years? So that could be something. The only thing I don't like about this, the other thing I don't like about this is I saw Nicola Skira talking about this morning, is that apparently the Roma, the owners, the Friedkins, were absolutely determined to hire a foreign coach, not an Italian coach. And they wanted a foreign coach, and it was going to either be Juric or Terzic. Terzic is the other manager that Roma have held talks to, according to Skir. Obviously, Juric has now got it, but Roma and Tuchel was a dream option, but obviously his salary was always going to be too much for Roma. So this obsession with American owners in Serie A to hire foreign managers, because, and I hear this term all the time, this quote, international dimension. It seems to be like a tagline that I see with that always being mentioned around American owners. We saw it with Milan when they hired Fonseca. It was clear this was the reason why Milan went for Fonseca, or before that Lopetegui. They wanted a foreign coach because they seem to believe that it gives them an international dimension to have a foreign coach. This is just ridiculous. I mean, listen, I don't want to be just going after Americans here. There's a lot of good things that they bring, but one thing that they just don't seem to get is, what is this obsession with foreign coaches, thinking just because you've got a foreign name, it's going to somehow help to grow the club. No, one thing that we have in Italy, we do a lot of things wrong. We have the best coaches in the world. We do, by quite a distance. The number of top-class coaches that we have, world-class coaches we have, is unbelievable. And there just seems to be this obsession among American owners that they have to go for a foreign coach because it's somehow going to bring some international prestige or maybe help with the marketing that you've got. I mean, it's a load of bollocks. Like, no one cares about coaches. Coaches don't sell the club at all. Trust me, I know that. I've been working in the media for 15 years, and we're literally, one of the first rules is never try wherever you can not to put an image of a coach or headline with a coach. Just try and avoid them as much as you can because they literally don't sell. They're like a traffic killer. Like, that's like one of the key rules, and they seem to think that having an international coach is somehow going to sell the club. It doesn't do nothing. Coaches do not sell a club. It doesn't help with marketing. Forget about coaches. Unless there's some kind of absolute superstar personality like a Mourinho used to be, or someone like that, they do not sell at all. So just get over it, Americans. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that you think that having Ivan Juric as a coach, just because he's foreign, is somehow going to grow Roma, and all of a sudden they're going to sell 100,000 extra shirts a month because they've got Ivan Juric as coach. Clueless. Absolutely clueless. It's just ridiculous. Spreadsheet wankers. That's what I call them.
Red sheet wankers. I don't think Juric being appointed has anything to do with him being Croatian. He's about as Italian you can get, given his career and where he coached before, and he came up through the Italian ecosystem.
Well, I'm just going on what Skira said. Skira said that Roma have made a decision to appoint a foreign coach because they want to bring a coach with an international dimension. The options are Terzic or Juric, and Tuchel was a dream. So I'm only going on that. And so I just think it's ridiculous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yes, you certainly made that very clear.